There was a law passed a few years ago in Los Angeles, in the whole state of California, that allowed for second units to be built on basically any lot in the state. It could be zoned R1, a traditional single family lot, and now allows you to double the density. We're really tucked away back here. We're architects, and we've been doing small houses for friends on these odd lots for a very long time, so we had already been kind of in that zone. And then when this law came out, it was like, great, we can do this for our life. We've been doing this for a long time in that our friends could only afford really strange lots in Los Angeles, and then when we were able to buy something 10 years ago, we also found this very strange triangular lot on this alleyway tucked away back here. The house that we bought is this one to the left. Was built in 1910. We like it because it really looks almost like a Monopoly house. It's just a house. And then a few years later, we were able to build this house here, this green one.
To match almost.
To match, yeah. There was an idea that we wanted to take cues of kind of its housiness proportions. We decided to elongate it a little bit to kind of exaggerate the look. That's the house. And all of this is the property, 12,000 square feet. Kind of started out of a point of necessity. My father had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and we were stuck with this terrible choice of, do we spend $6,000 to $8,000 a month to care for him in a home that was not really that great, or we could build an ADU, which we did. We built this in the recession, and as an architect, we were struggling to find work and everything, so everything was on a real shoestring. So we had to make the most of what we had. And it was very fun to really flesh out a bunch of architectural ideas. But from a personal standpoint, it really saved us from disaster. My parents lived here for a while, and we were able to take care of, my father had been at night when it was costly, and then we were able to bring in help during the day. And really made us closer as a family, which I think that ultimately is the greatest benefit of the accessory dwelling unit. And then they can use what their greatest asset is, their real estate, and then make it more flexible for older parents or kids coming home. So we did spend a lot of time positioning this house because we wanted to create a series of courtyards between the house, as well as create separation. But we wanted to put it so that it snuck in between this existing tree. This is a local tree. It's a California walnut tree. It's protected. I mean, it's well over 100 years old. So we wanted to really preserve that. So we snuck it right in between the property line over there and the tree. So yeah, come on in. So the house is only 720 square feet, but when you come inside, you'll see that it feels even much bigger.
When you first come in, you're in the kitchen. It's very tight space, but it's kind of nice that you're in this cozy space, and when you walk up 4 steps, it really opens up.
I mean, most houses are basically defined by being in these small boxes. The experience is a little claustrophobic. We like to say that space is really defined where walls meet walls and how walls meet floors. And these are just 4x12s, like regular construction grade 4x12s. So we have a really thin floor, and then of course it's a really wonderful looking material. So instead of doing like traditional structure, we were layering on drywall and structure and then more flooring. We just use a lot of these natural materials. So it gives us this really wonderful texture. And you can see here how like these were tight together when they first went in, but over time they shrank, and it kind of gives it this like feeling like you're in a boat. Yes, some like 16th century galley,
So floor is ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
This
so
is
from
floor
the upstairs,
and ceiling and
you
structure.
can see the same wood, the top side of the wood.
And then we use the same 4x12s as the stairs in between the kitchen and the living room. The idea is that when you're building a small house, you want to make it feel as big as possible. And so, of course, you want to be able to see end to end, almost like a loft. But the problem with a loft is that then you make a mess in the kitchen and everyone sees it. You want to create some kind of screening in between things. And so, like the separation between the living room and the kitchen here, we wanted you to be able to see into the kitchen so that it felt as big as possible, but you don't want to look right into the kitchen. So if you've got a sink full of dirty dishes, it's not embarrassing. So we took the 4x12 structure and then we ran it down as these stairs. And then it functions as stairs. And you come up here, and this is a loft space. Use it as an office space. Right now it's a bit of a bedroom, guest bedroom. So up here in this like loft space, you can see what we mean by, giving you these moments where you see as much of the house as possible, truly end to end. I mean, it's not an extreme end to end. The house is still only 700 square feet, but you separate the spaces. This box here that you see that we purposely did not take all the way to the ceiling, that's the bathroom, but it separates the bedroom beyond with the rest of the house. So it functions as divided spaces, but you still feel as large as possible. The ceiling was a bit of an invention on our part. None of our clients have big budgets. We certainly had no budget when we built this. So we had to make the most of what we had. And what you have is you have a roof. You're building a roof on a house, no matter what. But traditionally, you take the roof joists and they go from edge to ridge. They run basically parallel to the slope of the roof. Well, we decided, what happens if we flipped it and the joists went in this direction between these beams? And then instead of being parallel to the slope of the roof, they were parallel to the floor, and then they created this stepping fashion, and then we cladded the stepping with Doug fir wood. The effect of it was something that we were really looking to explore. And it's something that I remember in school reading about the Renaissance architect Brunelleschi. He said something to the effect of, once you start a line, the line goes on forever. And so when you see a line go, you automatically want to take that line to kind of its furthest 1-point perspectival place or 2-point. But this does the same effect. When you're standing anywhere in the house and you see these lines, your eye just immediately then goes to the furthest end of the house. And I think that just psychologically that it just makes you feel like the space is bigger. And so these are 2x4s. This is the structure of the house.
It's very standard framing. Even there you can see it's fat because it's carrying that weight. That weight, so that's bigger. So we're exposing all the structure where we can.
And this is something that we do a lot of the time. We say, tell us exactly where you need the shear for the structure. But where there is not shear, we have window. And we like to put these windows up high and clerestory windows. We're in a fairly dense neighborhood. There's houses all around us, but we have this wonderful park beyond. It just makes the space feel so much bigger for it.
One of the challenges during construction is to tell the framers that what they're framing is going to be the actual finish. So the framers, they're not used to taking care of the surface because their job is to frame it and then get cladded with drywall or any other finish material. So when we're doing this, the framers need to know that they can't just walk over and drop nails and that to be banged. And
But they understand, and even the sprinkler guys did an amazing job too, just sneaking in good-looking sprinklers.
Because it's small, you do get to think about every corner of it. When we do larger houses, when there's like 15 doors, then you just pick one and you do it 15 times. But when you have a house that you only have 2 doors, then you really get to think about it. This door, there's a laundry machine behind. This was salvaged from a Japanese restaurant and they just gave us, but it's just so nice. And these boxes, these were drawers from my grandparents' house in Japan. When they passed away, the whole house was demolished with a lot of large furniture because no one's taking it. So I just packed this in my suitcase and came back, and these are kind of scattered in the house. This is a lock, and this was actually a knob for the drawer that was on the other side. This box happened to be deeper. It didn't fit in the wall. So this box has the bathroom and a laundry and a closet. So all the utility is condensed in just one little box. So there's a laundry machine here and closet above. And the bathroom here and here. So you can see built in.
And then it's all just a real box. I mean, there's nothing above.
There's nothing above.
There's nothing above. We cladded the lid of it with some Doug fir 1x6s. The bedroom, here we put the sheer in the bathroom so that this window could go all the way to the wall.
We had no money, so there's some windows from a salvage yard.
Yeah.
So we bought that window below salvage and we just stuck it there, and it's really hard to open, and we're like, why is this so hard to open? And we realized later that it's supposed to be vertical.
This bush will double in size over the next few months, so usually when you're looking out this window, it's just this big ball of green.
Yeah.
Plus, this is something else we do. We like to use like really big windows and try to make big openings so that when you're in bed, you're not just looking at this as a wall, but you're looking all the way through to the patio. And then this patio, actually all of these walls were original to the 1910 structure of the house. I don't know what was going on down here, but we liked how beat up it was. So the contractor kept wanting to fix it for us, and we were like, no, don't, we like it. You know, but it created this kind of nice buffer between our house and now you're in this nice secluded kind of patio space and courtyard space that's separate but framed with our house in the back.
So it's a real like shared yard. So,
Yeah, that middle part there's a fire pit in the middle. We also have a vegetable bed up there we share. So I see Hannah taking care of the tomatoes in the morning. But we each have a private courtyard.
We're very concerned about ADUs becoming this kind of like owners live in the front and then we have people living in the back. We don't want that. You almost want to make it so that the ADU is better than the front house.
this just feels like you divided your lot and added another home. It feels like a neighbor.
Yeah. They appraise just like a regular house. You get a separate address for it.
I guess the only thing would be that they're always linked. You couldn't sell one off.
You can't sell one off.
But that's
no.
the only thing. Other than that, it's
and
like
then there is a real push just to convert garages. I would never want to live in like a pure garage, and that's how a lot of them feel. And so we are really trying to represent a different style of ADU that's affordable. We have developed 4 prototypes that are basically ADUs that we've designed before, and then you could buy one of those designs, and then typical design time is maybe like 6 months. We can shrink it down to 2 months. It's already gone through the city once before because we've built it. So we can get permits within 3 months, and then the contractor can build it in 6 to 9 months. It's still a long time, but if you consider the typical custom process could be 18 months to 2 years, we hope that normal folks can take on what is definitely a very expensive proposition and a really kind of confusing and regulatory heavy proposition. Try to make it smoother. Just something else that we like to do in these small houses is allow for light and really embrace orientation of the building and the solar change. That change is something that you often don't get in a normal house. I mean, most houses are basically defined by being in these small boxes, which is not too dissimilar from a cage, or you know, and it's just, if you think that that's what you're living in, and there's this small box with these like punctured openings, and that's the window, and that's basically your release, there's really a lot to improve. We often do these long clerestory windows that blur the relationship between wall and ceiling, or vault the ceiling and create what we like to call a second sky, so that you don't feel that kind of depressing weight of a flat, dry-walled ceiling. We like to erase corners if we can and bring glass meeting glass. It's a lot of the architecture of the 1950s and the case study program. Of course, a lot of Japanese architecture, which the case study program was also looking at. You know, we love those houses. Somehow that got lost, I think, sometime in the 60s or 70s. But it's proving to be very great, particularly in these ADUs where you get a sense of real layering in the space, which I think helps make for an interesting sense of depth.